All right, my friends, here we go. Today we are driving the 2022 Chevrolet Silverado 1500, wait for it, ZR2. I always get the numbers and the letters wrong, but I think that's pretty good. So this is their off-road variant, very, very similar to the GMC Sierra 1500 AT4X, which I test drove last week. So this is its cousin. It's even in the same color. So my apologies for that. They don't consult me on color variants when they hand out press cars. So this is the Chevy version of that. And I want to throw it out right off the bat. My voice is shot, yet a remaining remnant from a flu that will not go away. So if the voice fails me, apologies in advance. But let's motor on, shall we? Shall we start outside? Let's do that. Okay. Excellent. Park right in front of a puddle. Good job. Okay. So this, stop it, is the beauty in question. The Chevy version it looks, I mean, obviously it bears a lot of resemblance to the Sierra, but it does have a few key differences, not the least of which is that, well, we'll deal with it when we get to the front end, but in the back here we have the exact same tailgate, the multi-pro tailgate. This is, I believe on this one, if I'm not mistaken, is a dealer add-on. It might be in the Sierra as well, but it definitely is in the Silverado, because it wasn't even on the paperwork. So that sort of drops down. It's a powered tailgate, so you can kick it open from the cab as well. And then for those of you who haven't seen the Sierra video, which judging by the numbers is most of you, you hit the bottom button. Oh, hold on. Top button, pardon me. Drop that down. Now, one of the key differences in the Sierra, you got speakers, audio controls, etc. in here. In the Silverado, you get none of that, but you still get the tailgate, which is nice. And this does make it really, really easy to get into the back of any full-size pickup. My knees are not what they used to be, so it's really, really nice to have that. You can see this one's Rhino lined. I think it comes that way from either the factory or the dealer will take care of that for you, but I believe it comes with it. As we climb out, reassemble, hand down. So the mechanism is quite stiff as you're lifting it. You know, here's what it is, but it's really nice to be able to get in and out that way, especially if you're doing it multiple times throughout the day. Another highlight obviously are the Chevy steps. I love these things, absolutely love them. If you, as an example, which one is it? Yeah, there we go. They have a hold bar for old people who are infirm, but it actually must be a social club meeting down there. Anyway, if you're in and out of the box a lot without wanting to unfold the tailgate, this is a good option. Then you just put the handle down that way, kick it back in, there goes the voice, and that's it. Easy peasy. I do like the tailgate arrangement that GM is doing with these trucks. Absolutely fantastic. Moving around to the side, you get 18-inch rims. I believe these are 33-inch tires, a little bigger than what comes on the Sierra. They're a really nice tire. I'll comment during the drive, but road noise is pretty good, so no complaints on those. And if you do somehow miraculously take this thing off-road, those tires are more than capable. They're a nice all-terrain tire. They also double as a decent snow tire, which is also good. You get the ZR2 badging, the infamous 6.2 liter, my mortal enemy, or at least the enemy of my wallet, that's for sure. But we will touch on that a little later on. Coming to the front, this is where you see quite a few differences between this and the Sierra. You get a different grille, you get different tow hooks, etc. Similar headlight arrangement, but you get a very, very different hood. The Silverado comes with a much more aggressive looking hood. I actually really like that. I like the contrast. This is not painted. This is piano black, I guess that's what we're calling it. I don't know how that'll hold up over time. Here is a brand new truck, looks great. So, you know, comment down below if you have some experience with that. Same goes for the grille. It's a lot of shiny black, and I don't know how that will hold up over time. I certainly hope better than it does on the inside of the car. Maybe it's a different formulation, who knows. You get more ZR2, pardon me, badging. And that brings us, ooh, we should look at the engine. You want to look at the, mind the lake I decided to park in the middle of. Under the hood, we have the same 6.2 liter V8 that you get in the Sierra version of this particular vehicle. Delivers you 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. You have a 10-speed transmission, and that is about it. It is a very, yeah, it's a very linear powertrain, which is a good thing if you're actually ever going to go off-road. In the city, it's a little sluggish, but we'll get to that. And that is what's under the hood. All right, shall we hop inside and have a peek? Let's start with the back seat, shall we? I like the back seat. It's fun. Make of that what you will. So we get a very similar seating arrangement to what you find in the Sierra. You get these wonderful cubbies in the back of the, I love these things. I don't know why. It just, yeah, so much contraband you can stash in there. It's absolutely fantastic. Love those. You get, of course, cup holders in the center console that you fold down. You can get 4 full-size dudes in the back of this seat. Let me climb in. I'll prove my point. Well, I'm barely a full-size dude, at least height-wise, but sitting behind myself, I've got miles of space, and even if my brother-in-law, who's 19 feet tall, was sitting here, I'd still have space. It's really nice. Lots of space in the back of this vehicle, which is nice. You get heated seats for obviously 3 settings, pardon me. You get heat back here, which is very nice, and air conditioning especially. Charging ports, both the old school USB and the USB-C, which is nice, because how many times do you reach for a cable and only have one or the other? And you get cup holders, which are really really quite useful. You do not get the panoramic sunroof one might expect. Before we climb inside, I just wanted to point out the ZR2, see, I can learn, badging that you get on the door sills. You get really nice Bose speaker. Forgive the coffee stains. The gentleman who had it before me was a little sloppy with the mug. You get a Bose stereo in this thing, which is really half decent. I don't mind. I really actually enjoy the stereo. It's quite good. Don't mind. And it has a cool looking speaker grill. Very similar, if not exactly the same as what you get in the Sierra version. You get presets for the seats, etc. Your usual controls. And as we hop inside, excuse me, key missing. All right, so one thing I wanted to touch on, I didn't want to miss, were these controls down here. So you get your parking brake, your e-brake. These are your 4x4 controls. These are also your drive mode controls. So if you, over there, turn, you go off-road. I like the little animations, they're cool. Hit it again, you'll hit terrain mode, which I think is, that's the slippery muddy bits, and then off-road is off-road, and then normal, which is the normal everyday driving mode. And then you get your headlight settings here, dimmers, etc. Your HUD, your heads-up display, pardon me, controls as well, so you can move it up and down. The heads-up display, can you see that? I'm not sure. The eyes aren't as good as they used to be, but it is fantastic in this car. I really enjoyed it. It's a good size. It's remarkably clear. I do have to dial up the brightness to the highest level, but that's more a me thing. My eyes, they're gonna take my license one day, I swear, with the direction my vision is going. So that is, it's a really, really nice feature. It's got color, it gives you all sorts of information, and if I remember that you can tinker with it and change what shows up, etc., but I do like the stock arrangement. Another cool feature that we see on so many cars are, of course, the dual, I like to call it a dual mode rear view mirror. So you can have a camera, which is always clear, very beautiful, crystal clear in the back, or if you flip it, you get a traditional, excuse me, a very traditional rear view mirror. I much prefer the camera. I just find it much clearer, pardon me. And yeah, you can get a real good look at the people who are behind you. Moving on to the dash cluster. It's a very clean dash cluster, full digital. You can tinker with, on the left here, we've got a speedometer, a compass. We've got a digital speedometer above, the various information, pieces of information you can have in the center. You can scroll through whatever you like and change it. That gives you your phone settings, that moves the compass, music, various information. You can move all of it around to whatever side you prefer, etc. I'm actually perfectly fine with pretty much the way it came. I'm just not picky. And you get your tachometer on that side, fuel gauge, range indication, and coolant temperature. And that's kind of, that's the important one, actually. You do want to keep an eye on your coolant temperature if you're ever out there in the bush. You don't want to overheat in the middle of nowhere. That's never fun. The steering wheel, standard arrangement. We've got cruise control settings, heated steering wheel controls here. You can make your adjustments there on the left, and then on the right are the control. You got phone controls, and then you have controls for adjusting your dash. Moving on to infotainment, we've got the same system that you get in the GMC Sierra version. It's an Android-based system, not as clunky or as infuriating as the systems you get in Volvos, but it's fine. You know, you can you get your basic your slide back and forth screen here. You can change this. Excuse me, ran out of breath. To show whatever you prefer. You can get a clock. You can get music, etc., etc. Pardon me. I'll put it back to the clock because I kind of like that. Below that, you get your toggle buttons for various lane driver assistance. Pardon me. Boy, I'm really struggling today. I apologize, folks. Thank you for sticking with me. All your usual driver aids, etc. And then to lock your diffs, should you need it, hill descent control, electronic stability program, hazards, etc. Your environmental controls are down here. All of it is separate from the main screen, which I really like. That's really, really important. You know, these screens, I mean, they're pretty reliable, but sometimes they do lock up. I mean, how many times does your phone lock up on you, you know, throughout the course of time? And if you lose access to all those controls, I mean, it's not good, right? I mean, those are sort of important stuff. So we've got the start stop button here. I wanted to highlight that. That is a standard kind of start stop button. On the Sierra version, you got a really nice kind of, it's still a button, but it's almost a toggle, and it's really cool. It was nice. I really enjoyed it. Trailer brake control, which on the Sierra was over here, which is now stained storage pad, and then again your environmental controls, charging ports, etc., regular and USB-C, which again is very, very nice. More storage cubbies, cup holders, a slot for your phone. Right in here is your wireless charging pad, which for the most part seems to be working. And then you've got your shifter. So it's an electronic shifter, of course, so it's got the button, and put your foot on the brake and you can shift into reverse. You get a very clear camera, a really, really nice camera system, 360, etc. That's great for squeezing into a spot at Costco, or if you're actually dodging rocks and boulders and stuff out in the bush, it's nice to be able to see those as well. So instead of having somebody, your buddy with a beer, making sure you don't smash the hell out of your pickup truck. So, and then P, the button for park again. One thing I wanted to really point out here that it was a bit of a disappointment, or not a disappointment, but something I would have done differently. So you get the wireless charging pad here, and this is like a phone holder here. So if I would have just put the wireless charging pad right on the center of the console. That makes a whole lot of sense. And then if you have to look at your phone for whatever reason, you know, it's right there. It's easy and convenient. Maybe they slide it in there so you can't see it. What can I tell you? Excuse me. Oh boy. And then we get our sunroof. Again, our skinny little sunroof, which I never use. I opened it today because it's a little gloomy, so you guys can see what's going on in here. And that's basically the interior of the Silverado ZR2. Look at that. One thing I wanted to point out was the stitching. You can see here on the door, it's a nice sort of contrast neon stitching. It's a really nice quality stitching. You don't get that in the Sierra. You get like a cross stitch. They all look like X's. And it kind of looks like the stitching you'd get if you made a poor choice of plastic surgeons on a weekend in Tijuana. So this is a nice improvement over that. I cannot stand the stitching in the Sierra. Really, really not pleasant at all. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's drive time. What do you think? Let's do it. Okay, here we go. Let's pull her into drive. Double check the shoulder, and off we go. So what immediately strikes me about this thing as soon as we pull away is and it was the same in Sierra, this thing feels enormous. I don't know what it is about these GM pickups. They feel huge. That's not a criticism, because pickup trucks are huge. This one in particular, I've driven lots of Rams, lots of F-150s, and they all feel very, very different than this. This just feels enormous. It feels like your hood is way out there, you know, 15 feet in front of you. And again, I mean, it hasn't impacted the way I drive. It's perfectly fine, but a little bit of slip on the ice, the residual ice after the snowstorm. But yeah, I don't know what it is. This thing just has a whiff of hugeness about it. So it's one of those things, very, very obvious as soon as you climb behind the wheel, for me anyway. So is what it is. This particular version of the Silverado comes equipped with Multimatic shocks, which are an upgraded suspension system designed to better handle the off-road, which I highly doubt anyone will ever take it to do, but that is a neither here nor there common criticism of these types of vehicles. But it does provide you with a relatively smooth drive. It is a bit wallowy, but I would kind of expect that. I guess I should have signaled left, shouldn't I? I would have. That's what I expect. You know, anything that's designed to go off-road, it's got to have, you know, suspension travel and allow for a certain amount of bumps and ups and downs. So this is not by any measure a sporty vehicle to drive. It doesn't have the power, and even if it had it, it wouldn't know what to do with it anyway. So it's and that's perfectly fine. You know, I like a vehicle that at least knows what it's supposed to be. You know, this 6.2 liter engine should probably produce 700 horsepower, and I think does it in a variant where they have a supercharger on it. Anyway, it should produce a boatload more power, but you don't need that when you're going off-roading. What you need is nice, stable, linear power curves. That makes it, we don't get loose or do anything stupid when you're out. Well, you still do stupid things when you're out in the bush, but nothing that's going to come back to bite you too hard in the butt. While we're talking about the engine, it is a thirsty power plant. It is rated at, I think, 18 liters per 100 kilometers in the city, and then 16 on the highway. Yeah, this has been 18 to 20 everywhere we go. In the little bit of time I've had it, it's a pretty notorious gas pig, and yeah, I mean, it just is what it is. So be prepared for that should you decide to take this one over. Buy a vehicle such as this one. I would really prefer the 3-liter diesel. I think that's a wonderful, oh, look at that, shorts in December. That's how we roll in Canada, what can I tell you? But anyway, I would prefer the 3-liter diesel. I think it makes so much more sense in a vehicle like this, and just makes it a bit more of a practical everyday driving option. But one thing you do get right by these paddles are audio controls. So volume over here, and then track selection here. It's really nice. They're not on the front. It's perfectly fine if they are on the front, but they all used to be on the back side of the steering wheel, and I like that. I like that a lot. I kind of miss that on as a design element. I guess just, time marches on or whatever, but it's nice to see it back. I really enjoy that, and they're very chunky buttons. So for me, I got chunky fingers. Look at these things. So we go hand in hand, as it were. So in conclusion, where do we find ourselves with the Silverado XR2? It's another example. I mean, when you compare it to the Sierra, I didn't mean to make it such a comparison because I don't have the other truck with me, but you can't help but do that. They share so many components. Of the two, I would actually buy this one if I was going to buy one of the two. This is I think it's better looking. I think it has, with the cut-in fenders in the front, I didn't mention those when we did the walk around because I'm a little dim today, but those are really cool. I like the way that looks, and lends itself to I think greater turn-in or something like that when you're really kicking it out in the bush. But this one, I truly believe it's a slightly better looking vehicle. It's a little less expensive. It's still ridiculously expensive, and you're not going to take it out to the bush if you happen to go buy one. But yeah, this is the one that I would choose of the two, and I wouldn't buy this to go into the bush anyway. So I want to thank you guys for joining me today and having a look at the Silverado, and we will see you guys on the next video.